Fear has ruled more lives than any tyrant. Not the fear of a real and immediate danger, that one is useful and protects us, but that diffuse and constant fear that accompanies us every day, the fear of failure, of rejection, of what people will say, of the future, of death. It is the one that makes us small, that paralyzes us, that keeps us from living the life we would truly want. But almost 2,000 years ago, some men who lived through wars, exiles, illnesses, and the constant threat of death found the way to master it. The Stoics, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, did not eliminate fear. They learned to keep it from governing them. And they left us concrete, practical tools that still work today, just as they did then. In this video, you are going to discover 6 Stoic lessons to stop being afraid, one by one, so that fear stops deciding for you. I will not promise you a life without fear. That does not exist, nor would it be desirable. I promise you something better, a life in which fear is no longer in command. Stay to the end, because the last lesson is the one that truly changes everything. Take a deep breath, and let us begin with the first. The first Stoic lesson to stop being afraid sounds the opposite of what you would expect. Picture the worst on purpose. Most people do exactly the contrary. They push fear away, avoid thinking about what they dread, and so fear grows in the dark, fed by the unknown. The Stoics practiced an exercise they called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of misfortunes. From time to time, they sat down to calmly imagine what they feared most: losing their job, an illness, failure, the death of a loved one. Not to torture themselves, but to look fear in the face and discover that it is almost always bearable. Seneca advised rehearsing misfortune in the mind so that, if one day it came, it would not catch us unarmed. When you imagine the worst with serenity, something freeing happens, the monster shrinks. What in the dark seemed giant, in the light of reason turns out smaller and more manageable than you thought. You realize that even in the worst scenario, you would find a way to go on. Fear lives on flight. The moment you turn and face it, it loses almost all its power. Try tonight to think calmly about what you dread so much, not to suffer it, but to truly see it. Almost always you will find you are more capable of facing it than your fear made you believe. The second lesson to stop being afraid is to understand that you suffer far more in your imagination than in reality. Seneca wrote it in a sentence that has crossed 2,000 years intact. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Think of how many things have robbed you of sleep over your life. And now think how many of them truly happen the way you feared. Almost none. The mind is a tireless factory of catastrophes that rarely come true. It rehearses the accident that does not happen, the ruin that never arrives, the rejection that exists only in your head. And meanwhile, you pay in advance the price of an imaginary pain, suffering today for something that probably will never occur. The Stoics teach us to tell apart real danger, which deserves action, and invented danger, which only deserves to be let go. When you feel fear, stop and ask yourself, is this truly happening right now, or am I only imagining it? Most of the time you will find the problem is not in front of you. It is inside you, projected onto a future that does not yet exist. And what is only in your mind? In your mind you can switch off. Do not feed the horror film your head projects. Return to what is real, and you will see most of your fears dissolve on their own. The third lesson to stop being afraid is the deepest of all, to make peace with death. Beneath almost all our fears, if you scratch deep enough, beats the final fear, that of ceasing to exist. And the Stoics did not dodge it. They looked at it head-on every day. They practiced memento mori, remember that you will die, not as something morbid, but as the most powerful medicine against fear and against the laziness of living. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that you could leave life right now, and that this idea should govern what you do, say, and think. Because when you accept that your time is limited, 2 things change. The first, you stop fearing the small things so much. Rejections, opinions, minor failures become ridiculous before the immensity of death itself. The second, you begin to truly live, with urgency and gratitude, because you know each day is a gift that will not repeat. Epictetus said that death is not terrible. What is terrible is the idea we have of it. It is not a punishment or a failure. It is simply part of nature, like the falling of leaves in autumn. Whoever stops fleeing from death becomes almost impossible to frighten, because he has already looked into the depths of the abyss and found calm. Accept that you are mortal, and suddenly life, not fear, becomes your guide. The fourth lesson to stop being afraid is to realize that almost everything you fear is outside your control and therefore does not deserve your fear. Think of your greatest fears. Most are things that do not depend on you: what the economy does, what others decide, an illness, an accident, the future. The Stoics saw here a freeing truth. There is no sense in living terrified by what you cannot control, because fear does not change one bit of what is going to happen. It only ruins your present. The only thing truly in your hands is how you prepare and how you respond. And that, precisely, is what fear keeps you from doing well. Fear paralyzes, clouds the mind, makes you take bad decisions or none. Epictetus taught to focus all your attention on your own conduct and to release the outcome. When you stop fearing the uncontrollable and put your energy into doing your part well, fear runs out of fuel. You no longer waste strength trembling before ghosts. You use it to act. Ask every fear that visits you, does this depend on me? If the answer is no, then fearing it is useless. Prepare what you can and release the rest. If the answer is yes, then you do not need fear, you need action. In both cases, fear is unnecessary. The only thing needed is clarity about where your true power lies. The fifth lesson to stop being afraid is to stop fearing the judgment of others. It is one of the most paralyzing fears there is, and we almost never call it by its name. The fear of what people will say keeps us from speaking, trying, changing, showing ourselves as we are. We live shrunken by the possibility of criticism, of mockery, of rejection, as if other people's opinion had real power over our life. The Stoics dismantled it with relentless logic. What another thinks of you happens inside their head, and that does not touch you unless you allow it. Marcus Aurelius asked himself why we give so much value to the opinion of people we do not even respect, or who do not truly know us. You are frightened by the judgment of a crowd that tomorrow will have forgotten your existence. When you understand that you cannot control what they think, and that their opinion does not define your worth, the fear of looking bad begins to come apart. You do not need everyone's approval to act well. In fact, chasing it is the surest way to betray yourself. The one who lives terrified of others' gaze never does anything great, because everything great makes someone uncomfortable. Dare to be criticized. Speak, create, try, fail in plain sight. People will have opinions whatever you do, so let them have them while you live by your values. Freedom begins the day you stop asking permission with your eyes. The sixth and final lesson to stop being afraid is the most important, and at the same time the hardest, to act despite the fear. Throughout this video, we have seen how to reduce fear, how to face it, and how to strip it of power. But the Stoics knew one final truth: fear never fully disappears, and it does not need to. The brave one is not the one who feels no fear, it is the one who acts even while feeling it. Seneca said that sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Bravery is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward with fear on your back. Think of every important thing you have done in your life. Surely all of them were frightening before you did them. Speaking in public, starting something new, opening up to someone, defending what you believe. Fear was there, and still you advanced, and in doing so you discovered you were stronger than you thought. That is the key that changes everything. Do not wait to feel no fear before acting, because that day may never come. Act with fear by your side. Each time you do, you teach your mind that you can, and fear loses its grip on you. Courage, like any muscle, grows stronger with use. Start small. Do one thing today that scares you a little, and tomorrow another. So, step by step, a life is built that fear no longer governs. Because in the end, on the other side of fear, is everything you truly want. We have walked through the 6 Stoic lessons to stop being afraid together. Picture the worst to find that it is bearable. Remember that you suffer more in your mind than in reality. Make peace with death. Fear only what depends on you. Stop fearing the judgment of others, and, above all, act even while fear is still there. The goal was never to feel no fear, but to stop obeying it. Because almost everything you truly desire, a full life, deep relationships, meaningful projects, lies just on the other side of something that frightens you today. Each time you advance with fear on your back, you become a little freer, and fear becomes a little smaller. You do not have to defeat it all at once. It is enough to take one single step today that scares you a little, tomorrow another. So a brave life is built, brick by brick. As the ancient Stoics did, look fear in the face, thank it when it protects you, and ignore it when it only holds you back. If this video gave you a little courage, give it a like and subscribe for more Stoic wisdom every night. And remember, on the other side of fear, your life is waiting for you. Go and get it. See you in the next one. Take care.